town, him and his wife are working vigorously right now with Joe Dispenza. So it's very interesting to just watch
Wow.
the like-mindedness, and then Denise reading the same book. So that it to me it's confirmation that I'm on a good, really deep path, and then I'm finding mirrors along the way. So that's felt very magical to me. So yeah.
Aw.
Thanks for asking, and really nice to be with you all. Thanks for
Heck
holding
yeah.
space.
I'm gonna say hi real quick. Hi. So I made Pam host just because I got scheduled, so I'm going to be driving in. But one thing I really wanted to talk about today was the pineal gland and how important it is for us to be activating it, because fluorides in our water and in our toothpaste can actually calcify the crystals in our pineal gland. And before I go in on that, first of all, I want to say congratulations, Kelly, and congratulations on your growth and your willingness to shift and letting go, because holding on to something is really a mindset. And we think that there is something in the having of it that allows us to feel closer to that person. Like whether it's my mom's bracelet, right? Like I feel closer to her in the having of it. But if I actually realize that my mom is around me all the time, I can talk to her anytime that I want, and I can have this connection with her. It's not in a thing. And things do hold energy, so that's legit. But also, it is about status. It's about, having a certain kind of a car, or having a certain kind of a house, or having these things that you've collected over time that say something about you. And when you feel whole and complete, and the more that you know, the less you actually need in life, because all of a sudden it doesn't become about collecting stuff. It doesn't come about accumulation. It doesn't become the need to obtain. It's the need to have a feeling of completion and of wholeness. And when we tap into our inner brain, our pineal gland, which is an incredible part of our brain that literally, when stimulated, it is a neurotransmitter. It literally transmits information. It is a receiver, and it receives information, and it actually it turns serotonin into melatonin. So it has these incredible features where they can release these molecules and these chemicals in our brain that help us, because our bodies are better pharmaceutical companies than any other company on the entire planet. We can actually create these own chemicals in our own body to help us with pain, to help us with joy, to help us with sleep, to help us with energy. We have the ability to tap into that. And so, again, it's the finding of these emotional states. It's the finding of these moments of turning things into joy rather than allowing them to wreck us. That is what we're after. Because again, we want to, have the joy of something being completed, or having that connection with another person. But again, even in relationships, there's so many people that are wildly unhappy in their relationships. Why is that? Because they're expecting the other person to bring them joy. They're expecting the other person to complete them, to be their other half, to help them to experience joyful moments. But when we realize that, you can be in the middle of paradise with the love of your life and still have a shitty time. Why? How would that be possible if that was the end all be all? If having a relationship and going somewhere wonderful with that person, whether it's in your backyard, whether it's on vacation, whether it's out to dinner, or if that was the end result goal that was going to quote unquote make you happy, then why doesn't it? Why doesn't it? Why don't we have these rapturous moments with our significant other or our family members or our friends, and consistently stay in joy all the time and in bliss, because it's our inner feeling that we're after. It's not the thing. It's how we feel about the thing. We want to feel joy. And if the conditions aren't perfect, then we don't feel joy. We feel a sense of loss. We feel a sense of disappointment. But again, it's not about having the thing or having this moment. It's about finding the feeling within yourself first and bringing that feeling and emotion to everything that you're doing. So bringing the joy of discovery and delicious taste into baking your cookies, and having the joy of making a mistake. I made a mistake and they actually tasted amazing. Again, that's someone's business. Like having joy and meeting your group of friends and being happy, and them saying, man, I love when you show up because you always bring so much joy. You always are smiling. You're always, and it's not always, of course, it's not always. Like, again, it's okay to have feelings about things, but how long are you going to let something affect you? How long are you going to let the loss of someone or something affect your life? Or someone mistreating you in some way, or having a trauma in some way? Like, how long are we going to let that emotional state affect us throughout our entire life? Because there's got to be an endpoint where we can start to feel joy again. There's got to be a point where we can create the happiness and the feelings of joy from within, and we already feel complete on the inside. So that means everything that we get to do or that we want to do just brings us even more joy. And it brings us just a fun sense of satisfaction. And we get to feel good writing that book. We get to feel good baking those cookies or dancing or getting rid of that table or picking up our mom from a procedure. We get to actually feel joy because we already have that feeling on the inside. And the process, the journey, the things that we're doing along the way is just fun experiences that we get to have. And there's no forcing life at that point. It's creating your life. Well, wow, I'm already happy. So what do I get to do today? I get to mow the lawn, and I get to smell the smell of fresh cut grass. I get to breathe fresh air, and I get to see the beautiful trees. Or I get to, make a new discovery while I'm baking, or I get to go dance uninhibitedly wherever I want and not worry about what anybody thinks. Or I get to have the feeling of taking care of my neighbor by lovingly giving them an air conditioning unit and helping them to have a more comfortable life. Like, I get to feel good about that. I get to. And it's not only is it release and it's creating more space in your life and it's opening up, but you're liberating energy, because there's energy that gets wrapped up in our stuff. And when we're able to let that stuff go joyfully, and it actually helps another person, we're liberating that energy and we get it back.
I wanted to add to that sometimes we don't always know who we're actually helping. Like me, I'll start with like the other way around, that I love dancing and I've been on stage in front of people. Yet I had a hard time dancing whenever, wherever, until I saw somebody dancing along the waterfront and they were just jamming out and having a great time. So she didn't know she sparked something inside me. And as now I'm exploring dancing whenever, wherever, just because I want to. I honestly don't know who. I mean, sometimes people will come up to me, sure, yeah. And I'm like, yay, so awesome. I'm so grateful to hear that you are feeling something amazing just by witnessing me doing my thing. But sometimes people don't say how that moment touched them. And just me doing it, just because I love doing it, is showing other people that they can do it just because they want to do it, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be dancing. That's just kind of my story on the circle of not knowing who you're helping. And when you get to think about that, you get to just even feel more coming from inside out. It's just amazing. I love that. So,
Well, and how many times have you posted something on Facebook or on your social media and someone comes from out of the blue and says, man, I love your stuff. Or maybe you took a break for a little while and they're like, oh my gosh, I miss you. I miss seeing your stuff. It's so uplifting. It's so positive. I miss your face. Or if took a week off for vacation and people are like, man, I missed your energy. I missed your vibe, and you don't even know who you're touching. You don't know who you're helping. You don't know what impact you're making all the time, because again, it's a vibe. And so your vibration, that's why the butterfly effect, the butterfly flicks its wings and on the other side of the world, it could create a tsunami. That's literally waves of energy. That is a wavelength. That might not be literal. It might be, but it might not. But it is literal in the wavelength world, because we emit a wave of energy, and that wave of energy is felt in the galaxy. I mean, it's not just in our world. So all the love that we put out, all the anger that we put out, all the tension, all the joy, all the rapture, all the disappointment, everything that you feel and that your brain feels, you're emitting a vibration, you're emitting a frequency. There's never a time where you're not. It's either a high frequency or it's a low frequency. And we are magnetic beings. And so because we're magnetic beings, like attracts like. So when we put out a wavelength of energy, that's why when the proverbial shit hits the fan, it seems like everything kind of falls apart. Well, why is that? Because it's a vibe. It's a whole vibe. It's a vibe. So when you're putting out a wave of energy, you're receiving a wave of energy back. It's just how it works. So if you, again, want the positive things in life and you want to attract the better experiences and the unexpected miracles and the magic, if you want to extract all of that from your life, then make sure that you're planning ahead and that you are actually taking the time to do a meditation, to write some goals, to say, this is the type of thing that I want to attract in my life. Like, make sure you're doing those things, because those things are what's important. It's not just, again, about the having of anything. It's about the journey and how fun it is to create it. Like when we were baking cookies with our, family, or we were making, mud pies, or we were doing, I don't know, those little popsicles you used to make in your ice, things in the freezer, and you put the little, toothpicks in them, or, Play-Doh, or anytime you've created something, that joy that you felt in the creation, that is what our life is meant to be. We're meant to find the joy in the creation. We're meant to live happy and joyfully and on a high flying frequency. That's what we're meant for. And that way, when something happens, we can handle whatever comes our way. And we're not smacked in the side of the head and crashing because something happened that we weren't expecting. Because guess what? That's still going to happen. Even on your high flying frequency, that is still going to happen. You're going to get smacked upside the head from time to time. But if you are in a better emotional state and you're in a better place, those things aren't going to knock you out of orbit. You're going to say, oh, okay, I have something to learn out of this. What do I have to learn from this? What do I have to gain from this? What new experiences is going to open up because of this? Like, that's the questions that you get to ask. So is that making sense? Is that hitting home?
oh yeah. I mean, it's always good to, like you're saying, finding joy in the creation of life, and there's chaos sometimes before the creation though, right? So remembering that those bumpy moments are just that, a bumpy moment, instead of like living in it, just feeling it. Go ahead and feeling it in that moment, knowing all the nuances of the feeling, and then let that moment pass. Because it's not about only feeling joy. I mean, this is my opinion. It's not only about feeling joy, because if I only felt joy, then I wouldn't know what it feels like to work hard or to let things go, or of loss and frustrations of like maybe not having an income or any of those things. And like, and that piggybacks on what you're saying is, instead of focusing on the negative and staying in the negative, you can like fully feel it, know what it means, and then start asking those questions. What can I learn from this?
Right.
Like you were saying. But yeah, go ahead and don't skip over. But I feel like you shouldn't skip over feeling what that feels like, because that is a really
No,
important lesson itself too.
100%. 100%. And like I said, you got to feel your feelings. You got to. And again, that's where the lessons are, right? So, of course, we're going to feel sad when someone passes or someone leaves our life or we have the end of a relationship. Of course, we're going to, I mean, I would expect people to feel sad and have that feeling. Or if something precious, your mom's antique gets broken by the neighbor kid, or just over time it just decides to fall apart, whatever, and we have those things that happen. It's expected to feel sad about those things. That's normal, but it's not staying stuck in those emotions. It's not allowing those emotions to completely wreck you and control you and say, oh, okay, this is what I identify with. I identify with being sad. I identify with being broken. I identify with being a victim. I identify with, like that's what you're telling the universe with your frequency when you're staying stuck in those emotions. But we need to feel those emotions. We must feel those. We must go through mourning stages. We must go through periods of growth, because we don't learn when we're ruminating from that book. I love it because I've listened to the audios, but I've never actually read the book. So I love these teachings are synchronicity and alignment, and it's obviously what we're supposed to be talking about and sharing with each other. So, and I did make Pam host. I'm driving, so if it cuts out, I just wanted to tell you guys that I love you. And yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the pineal gland and why it is so important to decalcify and get that little thing going again. And the pineal gland is very important in terms of our transmissions and our feelings, because of its placement in our brain. It's literally considered the third eye. So like the eye of Horus, if you actually cut a brain open bilaterally.
Cutting out there a bit.
You look at it, you'll see that one get that vision in ancient Egypt. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So did they actually cut into a brain and see the eye of Horus, or did they get a vision of it? Or like, how would they even know that that's what the inside of a brain looks like? But the thing is, when people talk about waking up and opening their third eye, a lot of the times without even realizing it, what they're doing is they're activating their pineal gland. They're actually causing those teeny little crystals
rhomboid hedrons or something
And
like that.
if you know anything about computers, there are crystals in every circuit board because they transmit. So every microchip, every circuit board, everything has microcrystals in them for transmission. So why would the most important part of our brain, one of the most important parts of our brain, have crystals in it for transmission? Because we are meant to send and receive energy. And not only that, it's a frequency. So picking up these intuitive transmissions, or hearing a loved one that's passed, maybe, or hearing your loved one call out for you, or knowing who's calling on the phone. All of a sudden the phone rings and you know who it is. You already know without even looking. You know who's calling you. Or you think of them and all of a sudden they text you. So again, those are all wavelengths of energy. Those are signals that our body and our brain are picking up. And the better that we can tap into the opening up and the wakening up of our brain and our glands, like the pineal gland, the better our transmissions get, which means the better our intuition gets. And we can connect with not only ourselves and our higher purpose, but we can connect with source energy. We can connect with other people, and we can connect with our planet, because our planet is constantly communicating with us also. Trees put off wavelengths of energy. All plant life puts off wavelengths of energy. All animals emit wavelengths of energy. Every single living thing, even rocks, put off wavelengths of energy. Because at the microscopic, at the atomic level, nothing is solid. Nothing. And if nothing is solid, that means it's little tiny molecules that are just vibrating at different frequencies. And so money has a frequency. You being a best-selling author has a frequency. You being in the best relationship of your life has a frequency. All we have to do is learn how to tune into these frequencies in order to have those blessings, those wonderful experiences, those moments become magnetized to us, because that is universal law. That is not just spiritual woo-woo jargon. This is actually documented scientific law, that we attract like energy. We attract like frequencies. We attract these like vibrations. And so what our job is to tune into those feelings of joy, those feelings of completion, those feelings of success, those feelings of wonderment and excitement first. And then we have the inspired emotions or inspired actions that cause us to take the steps to do what we need to do. All of a sudden, we want to dance, or we want to give away that table, or we want to write a chapter in our book. All of a sudden, we want to do those things because there's inspired thought. And that inspired thought is on the frequency of that feeling, whatever it is. Again, joy, success, completion, love, enlightenment, whatever feeling you want to tap into, whatever feeling you're searching for by the doing of something. That's what we're looking for. And you want to tap into that emotion before the completion of the event, because then when the event happens, it's like, what does Joe say? He says it's the most known unknown feeling ever, because all of a sudden it feels familiar, but it's something new. It feels familiar because it's matching the joy that you're already feeling on the inside.
So that's what we're looking for, is we're playing the match game, right? We're playing the universal match game. Let's match our frequency to the experience, not the other way around. Because the publishing of your book is not what's going to, yes, it's a completed action and it might give you a sense of completion. But again, that is a fleeting thing. So that means you've got to do something over and over and over and over and over in order to feel joy. But like so many have said before me, we're not human doings, we're human beings. So we have to practice the feeling of being. We have to practice the feeling of the joy of being alive and the absolutely incredible gifts that we've been given by God and our source on this planet. The beautiful green foliage, the incredible animals, the ocean that cools our planet and keeps the sun from burning us alive. The magnetism that actually keeps us here and that gives us an atmosphere. The fact that we can breathe. And all these incredible gifts that we have every single day. The fact that we have this perfectly engineered brain that when the light comes, all of a sudden we create serotonin and it wakes us up in the day and makes us feel good. And then when the dark comes, all of a sudden that serotonin is magically converted into melatonin and it helps us to sleep at night. These are all things that naturally occur in our brains. We're just magnificent, magnificent creations. And it's such a gift to be here. It's such a gift to have this experience. And that's why the joy is in the journey. The joy is in the feeling and the frequency of knowing that you can feel joyful within a moment's notice by just having a thought. So what are you thinking about? What are you focusing on? So I'm complete for this week. Does anybody have any closing love they want to share, or
I could add just a little bit in what you're saying of the gift and focusing on that is just finding different ways. Like I'm finding different ways besides dancing, because dancing is like the huge thing in my life, obviously. I talk about it all the time. Um, Finding different ways to experience the joy, different ways to set intentions. So I have like written in the journal instead of writing. It started out obviously as, oh my God, this is stuff is happening, blah, blah, blah. And then it started shifting. Yeah, getting it all that out, cleaning house, basically. I was cleaning house at first. And then that made space, kind of like Kelly was talking about, making space for whatever, something else. Maybe it's just space because you got room then. But then I started actually writing. I started recording first actually on my phone, like I am amazing, or today I commit to, and instead of being bound to, I'm going to do this one thing every day, it's just whatever I am drawn to do. So sometimes I say all the I am statements, I am amazing. If I feel like I need a boost, anything that all the amazing things that I do. I'm a dancer, I'm a creator, I'm a writer, I'm a baker, etc. And sometimes it is focusing what I commit to today. Like I commit to meditating twice today instead of just once yesterday. I am committing to writing my commitments down in my journal so I can go back and look at them, my hard journal instead of just my recordings, which aren't as, you can hear the emotions in a recording that you can't hear in a journal. So like that's what I mean by like living it, by doing what you love to do, whether it's and yoga or dancing or writing or creating apps or your skills that you do, but also like noting it and then going back and looking at it, because I did not have a flight back was just me. Everybody was on their little apps and phones and working even next to me. I'm like, you know what? I'll just pull out the journal that I have and read everything that I wrote. And it was so enlightening to see where I started. And that was a newer journal, but where I started to where I completed at that moment. And so that's also another thing that you can do to see your journey or hear your journeys, going back and listening to it. So
Well, and
new
journaling is so
experiences and
important.
old.
That's so beautiful,
Yeah,
Pam. I love it.
going back and
I love
seeing.
watching you grow, and I love listening to all your ahas. And I just, that's one of the greatest things I love about doing this work, is literally watching people become unhinged in their life in the best way possible. You know, I mean, this wild abandon that we get to feel in this life is everything. It's just everything. I love feeling like a little big kid and getting to enjoy my life. So when I get to see other people like you doing that, doing the work and enjoying your life, it literally makes me vibrate higher. It brings so much joy to my life. So I love you, and I'm proud of you, all of you. I love y'all so much. And I'm wildly, wildly proud of you guys. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited for this journey with you guys. So you are definitely a blessing to me.
It's been a blessing having you in my life. I have done new things, and that's what it's about, right? Creating new memories, creating new experiences so that you're not stuck in the familiar and doing the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
Like, spread them out and you're doing other things. And
Yes.
that's awesome.
Right. Right. And if we, just the last thing I want to say is, if we continue to feel the same way that we've always felt, we're going to continue to attract the same thing that we've always attracted. So what you said, Pam, literally just having a new feeling, that's everything. That's everything. So well said. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for joining this week. I will make the recording available to the people who need it. And I hope you have an absolutely phenomenal week. If you need anything, please reach out or tap into one of the Skool classrooms, because I know you guys are all in one of the two. And I love y'all. So have a fantastic day, and make the most of your day. Feel good. All right. I love y'all. Oh yeah, I love that. That's my favorite
Gotta
thing.
end the meeting on a good note, right?
I
I'm
love
just
it. I
saying.
love it. Yes. Plan something special for your day, you guys. Have a good one. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.